Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we are looking at Deathstroke Issue 32. This is part 3 of the 6-part story called The Seven Waynes. And it's just Deathstroke versus Batman in a knockdown drag-out. The story was by Christopher Priest with pencils by Carlo Pagulian and Roberto Viscara. Larry Hama did the breakdowns. Jason Paz was inks, Jeremy Cox on colors, and Willie Schubert letters. The editing was done by Alex Antoni. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm not good at that. Sorry, everybody. Anyway, we start off with Batman breaking one of Deathstroke's vehicles, busting in. It's an ugly looking vehicle too, so I don't really have a problem with it. But Deathstroke is hunting the Human Dynamo, and we're not sure why, because the Human Dynamo's in his 80s. He used to be part of a group called the Justice Experience, a group you really don't hear much about because they were a bunch of like third stringer characters, but Human Dynamo is actually a pretty cool concept, and I really hope that they have a new Human Dynamo after this because, well, read the issue. So Batman is scuttling all of Slade's contracts, which has really annoyed Slade, and we get a little flashback of Bruce posing as a airline pilot, and Slade has had about enough of his nonsense. So he initiates something called Plan 6 and then has breakfast with Talia because they spent the night together like naughty adults. And we start to see some of the ramifications of this plan because Alfred's credit card gets declined. There's a search warrant issued for Bruce Wayne's assets and everything is frozen. International group like Interpol wants to meet with Wayne, so he might be a fugitive. Meanwhile, Batman is in a knockdown dragout and we learn who hired Slade, and we get a flashback of his origin, and it is a fantastic issue. A little bit of a downer. We find out who the recordings of Robin and Defiance are for. This is a really well done issue. Very action-packed, but you also get a lot of story in it. It's a great juxtaposition of the two, and I highly recommend it. Christopher Priest is really underrated as a writer, and his work on Deathstroke versus Batman here has been amazing. I've got to go back and get the trades for his regular run on Deathstroke. I loved his Black Panther run, but this really is kind of more in his wheelhouse, I think. What he did on Black Panther was phenomenal, but it's kind of its own thing, and this is more of a broad-reaching, it's more interactive with the rest of the universe. He gets to do more with a lot of different characters, and having Batman versus Deathstroke is a fantastic story, and it's a great concept of who would win, the killer or the guy who won't kill. Now, I never liked the Batman doesn't kill thing. I think that's a little too ham-fisted because people would figure that out very quickly, and it would definitely be a massive weakness for him. But it's played up well in this story, so I'm really glad to see how Christopher Priest handles it, because he could always just cripple Slade. He doesn't have to kill him. But it was a good story. I'm really excited to see the next installment. Probably not the best jumping on point, but it's definitely not the worst one of the parts that we've seen so far. So if you've already missed a few issues, you could figure out what's going on just through what's being said in the story, without too much difficulty. But I can't recommend this enough. This is a great book. I've added Deathstroke to my pull list, and I'll do that with anything Christopher Priest writes at this point. If I hear he's on a book, I'm going to put it on my pull list because he is very talented and definitely leaps and bounds ahead of most of the writers that are out there currently. So with that glowing recommendation, I'm going to sign off, and thank you as always for listening and supporting the channel. If you liked the video, hit like, consider subscribing, and as always, we hope to see you on the next one.